In this video, I'm going to share with you what Neville Goddard actually said about how to change your circumstances. I'm going to be using the words and quotes of Neville Goddard and then helping you to easily understand what he said so that you can know how to practically apply this to your life to create the changes you're looking for. In this video, we're going to get to the core of where sustainable change is created so that you can create the change in your life. Now, there's a lot of different Neville Goddard videos, a lot of different content, and if you've watched that and you've tried to apply what they said, try the different techniques and nothing's worked, it could make you feel terrible about yourself. You could feel like you're not good enough, that it's not actually going to work for you, or maybe you're just fundamentally broken and nothing is going to actually get you what you want in life. That is not true. I know what you're experiencing if that's you, because that was me too. I tried so hard. I put in all this effort. No matter what I did, I ended up in the same place, which made me feel worse about myself. But having that experience and also understanding what I do now, I'm here to tell you that the change you're looking for is possible when you understand the level that is needed to get to for the change. So yes, the power and the hype of Neville Goddard is real, and this video is going to help you get clear on how you can leverage it to create the change, lasting change that you're looking for and that change that you deserve. So let's start with the first quote. The reason that Neville Goddard's teachings don't work for a lot of people is because they do not understand the core and the depth necessary to apply it. So here's the first quote. A change of circumstance happens as a result of a change in your state of consciousness. Now, Dr. Joe Dispenza describes a state of being, which I believe is very much in the essence of a state of consciousness, as thoughts, feelings, and actions. This complete package of who you are in life, not in your fantasy, not in your imagination, not in your desires, but who you are being, that level of self you're relating from. And I don't want just to tell you this, I want to show you, so let me show you that now. Welcome to my living room. This mirror is going to represent your circumstances, okay? You can notice that that's not actually me, that's just my reflection. I'm over here on this side, this is my inner world, and that over there is actually what's getting reflected back depending on what I'm doing in my internal world. So I brought a couple friends today to really nail down this first quote, that a change of circumstances happens as a result of a change in your state of consciousness. What does that actually mean? Well, I brought my friend here, which I hand carved. This is a horse. Right, this is going to represent the friendships, the support you want. But the antithesis of it, not a lot of friends, not a lot of support, is going to be represented by this chapstick. The emotionally available, wonderful relationship is going to be represented by this beautiful vessel here. And then the emotional unavailable people is going to be represented by this can. It's empty. And the money, the abundance you're looking for is going to be represented by this spirulina. Thank you for representing. And lack, not having what you need, is going to be represented with this black lava rock, okay? So this is all the potentials. They all exist right now, okay? Depending on your internal world. Remember, this is me in my internal world. That's just a reflection, okay? So I'm going to take these off of here because I want to show you something important. This plate is going to represent your self-concept. So here I am in my internal world, and all I'm seeing is a reflection of my self-concept. Well, what is your self-concept? Well, maybe you grew up and you're around a lot of people who didn't treat you very well. Maybe you got bullied a lot. So your sense of friendship and support is not very strong. Maybe you both don't feel deserving and you grew up around a lot of lack, and maybe you just never felt good enough. Maybe the people around you didn't treat you very good. So you have this idea of a low self-worth, not feeling deserving. And overall, emotionally, no one was really there for you. When you needed help, it's what you had to do. And if you were a good student, if you were good at sports, right? So you find yourself around a lot of emotionally unavailable people. Now, can you see that the mirror is simply reflecting what's on this table? Okay, there are the goods. And all that's happening is the external is reflecting back what's happening in the internal world. The outside there, is not the reason of what creates this. This is simply getting echoed out there. So if you want to change the mirror right here, If you want to change this mirror, you don't go over here and try to change it. Like, let me take that chapstick off. Let me get that rock, right? Let me get that empty cup, right? This is what most people do. They try to change the outside so they feel different. But guess what? If I'm over here, I'm not paying attention to what I actually need to pay attention to, which is, okay, as we do the work that I show on this channel, it basically gives you the idea that you are ever deserving of emotional unavailable people, understanding how to be emotionally available to yourself. When you have that internal change, whoa, what's coming here though? We've got now abundant, loving relationships. Same with money. Understanding and learning how to do this work in a practical way allows you then to shift your self-concept. The self-concept didn't change because of what the mirror did. The mirror changed, your circumstances changed because of a shift of your state of awareness, your consciousness level. This is the first quote of really what Neville Goddard was talking about on how to change your circumstances. If you want to change your circumstances, the reflection that you're getting back from reality, do not go to reality to change it. Come back to where your power is, which is your self-concept, your inner world, your ideas that you hold to be true. An assumption is simply an idea that you give permission or consent to be true. They can go in and out. You can take this chapstick out. Get it out of here. We're done with it. We're ready for those supportive, loving relationships represented by that horse. Look at how perfectly that fits in there. Changing this is what changes that. If this video is resonating and you want my help in your life, I'm still available for one-on-one sessions. So far, I've worked with people all over the world and have helped them to start to gain higher and better levels of awareness. So in the moment, they understand when and where to make that new choice. They've had tremendous breakthroughs, and I would love to help you do the same. If you're interested, there's a link below. Fill out the form and I will email you. Now, let's go to the second quote, which is to attempt to change circumstances. Again, attempt. Trying to change your circumstances before I have changed my own imaginal activity is to struggle against the very nature of my own being. For my own imaginal activity is animating my world. What the hell does that mean? Well, let's break it down, okay? So, the attempt to try to change your circumstances, so this is your reality, right? And even though the amount of love, the amount of money, and also the lack of love, the lack of money, they all exist in real time right now. And just like radio waves exist right now, their potentials, I can't hear them, right? But we know they're there because if we had a radio, we could collapse the potential into something we could perceive with our senses and we could receive it. We could experience that radio wave and whatever's on it, right? Rock, country, jazz, whatever. Just the same in our realities. Quantum physics shows us this through the double slit experiment, that the observation, the energy of the observer, the attention collapses the potential into particle, which is probably, if you're watching this video, lack of money, lack of love, feeling like you're not good enough, keep getting those circumstances. So the reason people say that circumstances don't matter is because there's way more going on than just what you're perceiving. And so the idea that the imaginal acts, the imaginal activity that matters is how you're going to perceive current circumstances. If you have deep wounds in a self-concept where you're not enough and you're not worthy, you could think of what it would be like if you were worthy, and that could feel like an imaginal act. But I think that the depth necessary, again, is the state of consciousness, who you are being, thoughts, feelings, and actions in the current moment. Being conscious of how you're interpreting it. What version of you is interpreting this situation, which is then going to reflect in your circumstances. So until you've changed this is only a lens of how you see your circumstances or the potential of your circumstances. If it's through unworthiness and not good enough, you'll only be able to perceive of those same things. So until you've changed this right here, you're going to be fighting against yourself, because just like if I had a pair of sunglasses on right now, well, my activity, if I want to see something different, I would need to take them off. But if I'm trying to change the outside world, I'm fighting against my own being, my own essence. And it's not really the truth of me if I have limiting beliefs or limiting assumptions. It's an idea I hold from the past when I was in a very vulnerable state and I had to trust my caregivers and their perceptions of me, and I've held on to them thinking it is me, and it's not you. As you learn to take back the authority and the copyrights to your self-image, you'll start to see the world in an entirely new way. Because when you start to detach from this, letting this go, letting the reasons you were treated a certain way, shifting your perspective, changing the story, you start to then perceive of other things. So until you change this, you're fighting against yourself. So the attention is not outside of you. Neville Goddard, in his own words, said that if your imaginal activity, how you're interpreting the world is through the lenses of low self-worth, low self-assumptions, then you are fighting against yourself and you're just spinning your wheels and you keep seeing the same reflection. But at the end of the day, you're still being that same person. So no wonder your circumstances keep repeating. It's not because it is you. It's simply reflecting who you're still being. And you can let go of that. So here's quote 3. And the third quote we're going to be talking about today is your assumptions. Again, Neville Goddard said that your assumption is something you give permission or consent to be true. It's not, I repeat, not objectively true about your reality. It's simply something you've been through, you put a story or a meaning. So your assumptions guide all of your conscious and subconscious movements towards its suggested in, so inevitably it dictates that event. This is so similar to my favorite quote by Carl Jung. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it dictates your life and you call it fate. Your assumptions unconsciously for you are interpreting everything based on the past. And guess what? If you make a decision based on the past, you're going to recreate your future as your past, and your circumstances are going to recreate. They're going to keep reflecting, not because of you, but because of certain choices that you're making, and you don't understand right now how costly energetically they are and how self-abandoning they are. So many of us learned that self-abandonment was self-preservation. And now when we try to take our own space and we create this internally and we try to stand up for ourselves, we feel, oh no, we're going to be rejected. I'm not self-abandoning. And this is so subconscious. This is so deep in your psyche that you might not be aware of it. And you can start to look and do introspection, can completely change your life. So what does that mean in terms of Neville's, your assumptions guide you? Again, for me, we're going to go back to it. No text. Here I am. This was me for 95%, 99% of my life. If I didn't get the attention from another person, because all of my validation and all of my self-worth was wrapped up into how they saw me, if I didn't get a text, I saw that through the assumption that I was going to get rejected. I wasn't good enough. Right? My assumptions were guiding me into the prediction of, well, they're going to leave. Those are my old circumstances, emotionally unavailable people, that empty can. And then what's that going to do? That's going to refortify the old self-concept. So these interpretations, which you look at through the lens of your assumptions, they will guide your conscious and unconscious to make certain decisions or interpretations that you know to be true. And because you're an autopilot, and Dr. Joe Dispenza says that we are on autopilot for most of our life after the age of 35, I think it's 90 to 95% of our life is run by our unconscious self-concept and all the assumption and the lenses of perception those create. And if we keep doing this over and over and over, and we keep recreating our old circumstances, then we keep strengthening and thinking it is us, and it's not. It's simply an echo of that state of being, that state of consciousness. So one thing you can do is just start to get aware. Okay, I'm really wanting to tell myself the story that they're not texting me because I'm not good enough. I'm aware of the story, and I'm also aware of the cost of entertaining that. That is self-abandonment. When I assume they reject me, I reject me first. When I assume they're going to hurt me and I cut them off before they can, I am rejecting me first. I have not built a sense of a trust to say, okay, that inner child who was there when all these limiting beliefs were formed, she or he or they need my help. Rather than chasing after, oh, let me prove myself, let me earn your love. That's recreating the past, where you maybe didn't feel seen, when you felt neglected, when you didn't have your needs met and you had to be externally based to get it. Well, now you got to go internal. Okay, ABC. I'm aware of this negative assumption coming up, but I'm not going to let it dictate. I'm not going to let it guide me because I know where it goes and I don't want to go there. Okay, I'm starting to feel scared. I'm aware of this. I'm aware of my body. Anxiety, comparison, self-rejection, suspicion, distrust. That could be self-rejection. I got to examine it. Okay, now I'm breathing to help regulate my nervous system. So let that little girl, that little boy, that little person know that they're safe. I got to tend to the emotional inner part of myself. And I'm going to make a new choice. And even that caretaking is a new choice, which then leads to new circumstances. Because guess what? The old assumptions didn't guide you. That this interpretation is a new state of consciousness. It's a new awareness. It's a new consideration of yourself, which is evolving up. Rather than being in survival, you're actually in creation, which is where Dr. Joe Dispenza says, all of your dreams live. This right here helps you to shift your energy so you can actually perceive and receive the desires, the experiences that you really want. And rather than just keeping them at a distance, you're actually able to energetically receive them and experience them so that your circumstances change because you deserve it. So one massive thing that helped me to tie all these things together was practice. And rather than waiting for my future to come up and to try again, I actually was taught that you can use your past, and I call this reverse visualization. And this next video right here is going to show you exactly how you can do it so you can start freeing up, seeing different experiences, and taking action and seeing in the future where you can take that new choice. That video is right here. Thank you so much for watching. I love y'all, and I will see you on the next one.